Hello and welcome back. Today we will be reading White Lies How the South Lost the Civil War, then Rewrote the History by Ann Bausum. Lie number 7. Reconstruction was a failure. One way Southern whites disrupted the federal government's post war policies and regained control of the region was by the misrepresenting the facts about Reconstruction. Their chief claim was that the era's new leaders had been corrupt and amateurish. As a result, according to this falsehood, the program had been a dreadful failure. This misrepresentation of the past blamed three groups for this fiasco. The first were Black men who gained seats in legislatures and held other posts of power. Other culprits were the carpetbaggers, outsiders who traveled south to participate in the region's rebuilding, with their belongings stuffed into cloth suitcases, so called scalawags. Local whites who supported Reconstruction and the rights of Black people were also criticized. All three groups were falsely accused of engaging in shady financial dealings designed to make themselves rich. Some instances of corruption had occurred during Reconstruction, as inevitable during any period of growth and investment, but these were not widespread. It was therefore inaccurate to suggest that Reconstruction era had been dominated by corruption or that it was a failure. In fact, Reconstruction was a remarkable period during which the United States actually began to function as a multiracial democracy. To bolster the lie about Reconstruction, whites claimed that newly elected Black office holders had been ineffective leaders. This was not true. Some 2,000 Black men filled posts during Reconstruction from the local level on up to state governor and handled their responsibilities comparably to whites. Proponents of the lie also argued that these officials had been uneducated and inexperienced, but many of them had already gained their freedom, opened businesses, and achieved prominence before Reconstruction. Others had been respected members within communities of enslaved blacks. Whites in the South and beyond benefited in multiple ways by lying about Reconstruction. First, the lie made it easier after Reconstruction ended for whites to strip blacks of their newly found rights, particularly the right to vote. According to the lie, blacks had shown that they were too ignorant and corrupt to be responsible voters. This falsehood, when combined with lies about the nature of slavery, also made it easier for whites to say that they alone should rule. If this logic of lies, everything had run perfectly under white rule before the war. Everything had fallen apart when blacks were put in charge afterward, and everything would be fine again if whites resumed control. Finally, the lie helped advance the standing of Southern white elites. Rather than being blamed for starting the war, these men were applauded for liberating the region from an ill conceived program of Black rule. Whites in other portions of the country, including throughout the North, may or may not have realized that they were hearing lies about the nature of Reconstruction. But either way, they found them appealing. The falsehoods aligned with their own racist beliefs. They also justified the resentments some non Southerners felt as Blacks began to advance in society. Furthermore, the suggestion that Reconstruction had collapsed because of the shortcomings of Black people allowed Northerners to avoid being blamed for abandoning the program. The lie that Reconstruction was a failure spread so widely that many Americans still accept it as fact. This corruption of historical events not only benefited resentful whites at the time, it conveys a negative impression of blacks that can influence the opinions of people of all races, even now. And that is lie number 7. Reconstruction was a failure.